Hey, it's Nick here, the handler for Dead Letter Bureau, and we're doing something a little different today. Today, I'm having a little chat with Tom from Stories and Lies. Tom, anything you want to say?
I guess I'll introduce myself. Hello, I'm Tom Ogas. I'm one of the guys for Stories and Lies. The nice thing about that podcast is we do share a lot of the work, which is necessary. We can get into that later. But I guess I'm the primary. I'm the guy that got it started, and I do the most of the stories.
Yeah. Was your first show the Redacted Files, or first time recording something, or have you done a bit of things before that?
Yeah, so Redacted Reports was the first, really the second. Before Redacted Reports, I was on this, there's this channel called Quests and Chaos on Twitch, which was started 10 years ago. And I did that for a couple of years, right before COVID, and then into COVID. But we had a show, and I played a role on one of the Twitch shows. And they turned that Twitch broadcast into a podcast, which, is just taking the audio from the Twitch stream and releasing it as a podcast. So it's not the same thing as what we do now. But I did that for a while. I had no role in that. I just showed up on camera, played a character for 3 hours, and then it would be a podcast. But then Redacted Reports really was the first thing I did. And then Stories and Lies is our current project.
Yeah, so I like to kick things off with a lightning round just to do quick warm-ups and to get to know you. What would you say your favorite TTRPG system is?
Right now it's Delta Green because that's what I've been doing. That's what I'm in that mode, and I know that'll be my favorite until some new hotness eventually steals the spotlight.
Desert Island Campaign.
Right. So, if I'm stuck on a desert island, it's going to ultimately be Masks of Nyarlathotep. It took 3 years for us to finish that story. So if that works for a desert island,
It'll carry you to starvation, right? So
hopefully rescue, but starvation is maybe a little more likely.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So you're into Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu. These Lovecraftian systems, right? What if Lovecraft is erased from reality? Where the Stories and Lies find its next sandbox?
We're probably going to like Gumshoe. I'm picturing something very rules light. That's what I think. We would go that direction as opposed to going for something more crunchy. So the Gumshoe makes the most sense because we kind of just improv this stuff anyway. So it works.
That's cool. Yeah. And, before we jump into the interview, how did you connect with this group? Was it just a mismatch? Did you know each other all before? Did you play at tables for years before recording? How did you guys get connected?
It's the amazing miracle of the internet is what it is. And it's one of those internet success stories. And because I think many of us, maybe all of us, have played internet games online. And I feel like most of the time, they don't go anywhere. They come together, they break apart. There's not a lot of connection. It's hard to connect. It's a challenge we have in the internet age. The guys at Stories and Lies, I met Taylor, who was a very first producer. And he and I kind of core to this. He and I played together during COVID online on Discord. And so I had that connection with him. And then Matt, who's one of our founding members, he and I were both on another Discord for another show, which it's Mayday. They had Doom to Repeat. We were both fans of Doom to Repeat by the Mayday podcast, I forget what they're called again.
Yeah.
But we were just on that Discord, like two guys on a Discord talking about Delta Green. And at some point I was like, man, I really wish I could do this again. I missed these old, and he was like, man, I'd love to do that with you. That was it. That was like the conversation. And he and I connected, and he and I and Taylor, who I invited Taylor. Taylor's great. I brought him back.
Sure.
He brought his friend Wes, and Wes is just chaos incarnate. And it was so much fun. So we just all got together. We did a game that was not released. We just did a test game and had a great time. And we're like, we got to keep doing this. And so we went forward. That's I don't know. We're like 170 episodes later, here we are, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's incredible. And just like the quality. And so like I got into Stories and Lies it's about 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago. And so I listened to the backlog all at once, right? And, you could not just the quality and the production growing, but like your guys' performances, your gameplay, like your presence at the table, it is evolving constantly. And then now this God's Teeth one, there was one episode where you guys are just chatting about what to do next, or like right after you meet each other. And it goes on for like 30 minutes, and it's still some of the best role playing out there, right? Not to glaze too much, but you can see the evolution, and you have a group of people that is really special, I think.
I appreciate that. We have an episode in Ladybug, and I think it's the third episode, which I think is called Copy and Conspiracy, where I as the handler, I don't know what I said. I maybe said 3 or 4 words in that episode. I said very little. I got the characters together at a coffee shop, and they just started role playing, and it was one of the earliest things we ever did. And it was like that moment was like, okay, this we got something good here, because we just had 3 players playing 3 different characters, and then just interacting with the scene from 3 different perspectives, and it was just, we watched it unfold, and that's always been a thing. We in our show, we've got these moments of character conversation and then moments of tension, and we kind of bounce back and forth between that as the pacing allows, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, is that a hard thing to balance as a handler and a player? Do you ever get the sense you're like, oh, we've been talking too much, or oh, maybe we need to add some tension? Does that actually occur to you, or does it feel natural now?
It does occur to me, and I try to do something about it. But the hardest part is if I'm not the handler. That's the hardest part. My instincts are, I have a certain ticking clock in my head. Okay, we've talked long enough. I'll interrupt and move the scene forward. And I think Matt has the same clock in his head. Matt and I are pretty in sync with how long the conversation should go. Taylor can actually go a lot longer.
Sure, yeah.
Like Taylor has a very slow clock in his head. He can really role play the hell out of scenes. So when he's the handler, I get uneasy. Sometimes I'm like, all right, should we move the scene forward here?
Let's go, yeah.
But it happens eventually. It works out.
Yeah, the latest arc, like as it unfolds, you can see a difference in the pacing, right? So still love it, right? And I was in the Patreon game that Taylor ran as well. And so like I got to experience him as a handler. And yeah, he likes to luxuriate in the scene sometimes. And he's more like, well, what do you think? It's not, here's the answer to your question. Well, what do you see? And, tries to get you to like suss it out more before giving you the answer as a handler. So, yeah. Yeah. So, I'm curious, you've been doing this for a long time. You said 130 something episodes, right?
I think we're like 160.
160.
At this point. We're up there. It's been a while. So, God, when did we start? Did we start in 23? I think we started in 2023.
Yeah.
I gotta look back. But it feels like a long time on one hand. And another hand, it's just like, it's
a blip.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It could have been long. Who knows? Time is a very strange thing. That's all I know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What keeps you coming back and recording and being a performer as well as a storyteller in this? What's the core need that you're meeting through this project in your life?
Yeah. I mean, number one, at the table, we have a great time. Like we really enjoy those getting together with the guys. And we talk before, we talk after, we talk, so we have a great time. I look forward to it. I think we all look forward to getting together. It doesn't feel like work. The editing process is fun because we get stuff before it's released. We get to have some say on how things are happening. We get sneak previews. I work on these scripts between, so there's always a little tinkering we're doing. It comes out and then it's like, wow, that sounds amazing. I don't remember it being that cool. That's fun. It's reinforced. It's reinforced the whole time. And the last thing to me is because we share the load enough, we all start getting these great ideas. Like the current story that Taylor's doing, Golden Orchard, is an idea he had like a year and a half ago, like a long time ago. And he is working on it. He's getting all excited. He's like hypes us up to do this story, right? And then and I've got a story I'm working on next that I've been working on for 8-10 months now. And Matt's working God's teeth and he's super hyped. So all of us are hyped to do these projects, so that internally gets us excited. So we got a lot of fuel that kind of keeps us coming back.
Yeah, that's cool. So you have enough of a time of a break from handling, because handling is a heavy lift, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even emotionally, especially with Delta Green, sometimes you're just like, whew, I'm sure Matt feels that right now. So, but yeah, and you get this space to play and explore a character, not a bunch of NPCs in a story, and that gives you time to kind of develop your own stories, it sounds like.
Yeah. I still love the handler job.
Yeah.
Because character characters, we can talk about that later, but
No.
because
You jump
handler's
right
got
in.
a lot more stories to do than just one character. And
Yeah.
and one thing I like about the handler role is I get to constantly kind of rewrite the story. It's a
Yeah.
lot of re-editing all the time. Like I'll have an idea, and then someone at the table has a better idea, and I just steal their idea. And
Yeah.
that's what we keep doing. So it keeps refreshing all the time. It's a lot of mental energy, but it's very satisfying when it all works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Feeling like the puzzle pieces come together and you're like this arbiter where you pull in all the different stories everyone at the table is trying to tell, and you're able to kind of piece it together, and seeing that tapestry in front of you sounds like that's motivating for you.
Yeah, I love that. That keeps me it keeps me thinking between games too. As a character, I might think about what just happened, and then what would my character do in the future. But that's not a lot of, that's a very small amount of brain power,
Yeah.
right? When I'm playing, I can mostly just put the character aside, and I come
Yeah.
back to that character 2 weeks later, and I kind of rethink it. As the handler, I spend 2 weeks thinking about the story. Is what I
Yep,
do. I just
exactly.
keep ruminating about what just happened, what I want to do next, and so
Yep.
it burns a lot more energy that way.
Yeah, it's funny. I find myself, similar. I'm playing in a game somebody else ran, and then I'm running stuff at the same time. And if I play too late, because I get up early, like I have kids, right? If I play too late, my brain just doesn't turn off if I'm handling. I'm going over what's going to happen next, and I can't sleep because of it, right? Because that role is like so cognitively heavy, but also satisfying. It's an excitement, as is the reason I can't sleep, not necessarily like a tax. So
Yeah, absolutely.
with putting yourself out there, it can be hard, right? And, I tag this as imposter syndrome, or it can be any negative feeling that you get. Do you ever second guess yourself in this process? Do you ever release an episode and feel like, that's not what I wanted? I talk to other showrunners and they're like, I have post-episode blues, or like I constantly suffer from imposter syndrome. Does that ever seek its way into you?
Not much, but I'll back up.
Sure. Yeah.
I've been doing this for a little while. I'm a
Yeah.
little older.
Yeah.
At my stage of life, I've kind of gotten this. You get a certain kind of confidence that's gotten you to this point. When I was 20, 30 years old, I had a lot more imposter syndrome, a lot more of like proving myself, kind of like I do good
Yeah.
enough? Can I do better? And after a while of doing that, yeah, that was good. Sometimes I'll say to myself, I wish it went some other way.
Sure.
But I've kind of made peace with that feeling. But because most of the time, honestly, at the table, things go better than I thought. It just really,
Yeah.
I have a plan going in, and I do not cling to my plan. Like my plan is like just pencil. It's all pencil. And I
Sure.
get so happy when like stuff happens that is not expected, and I can do something cool with it. That energy gets me through the times when shit, we didn't do a very good scene, or I didn't role play that NPC very well. That is something I do. Like fuck, I could have played that guy so much better. I'll have minor regrets. One example.
Yeah.
In Ghost Lights, there's a pilot character they meet in I think episode 4 or 5.
Mhm.
Now I have a buddy that works for Southwest Airlines who's a pilot, a
Yeah.
commercial airline pilot. I sat down with him for like an hour and asked him a whole bunch of technical questions and how would this work and how would that work and the fiction of my story. And I was trying to soak all this stuff in for my buddy so I could play him as an NPC. I'm like, I'm going to be this guy as an NPC. I'm going to use these technical terms. I'm going to speak like a pilot speaks. And when I actually, at the table, I didn't do any of that shit. I
Yep.
barely remembered the stuff he told me. I was forgetting so I was like, it was a kind of a B- performance, I thought. So from
Sure.
time to time, there's characters that I'm like, fuck, I could have played that character so much better.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I do feel generally good about the work we do. I'm generally happy with our work, and I'm pretty comfortable in my stuff,
Yeah. Totally.
So- because I'm old enough now that I'm just like, yeah, this is my stuff. I hope you like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, are we, you look like what? Probably 45, 46. Is that
Yeah.
ballpark? Or-
Yeah, I'm actually older than that, but let's.
Okay.
I'll take 45.
You'll take that?
I will-
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
So-
live with. That's great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm 40 and people think I'm like 35. So yeah, you've kind of grown into this confidence and, through being a skilled player and all of your experience in recording and performing, it's helped you avoid having to second guess yourself too much, right?
Yeah, I did when I was a kid. I did theater, like a
Yeah,
lot of us did. I did theater stuff. I did music and the whole deal. Like I was performing stuff. I work in a field where I have to talk. I'm an attorney. I talk in court.
sure. Yeah.
So I got enough under my experience under my belt that I can fake it real well. And
Yeah, yeah.
so
You
it
have a
works for
high
me.
charisma score, so yeah.
Enough that I can get by. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. In that vein, but like when you produce the show from running, playing a character, recording, the writing process, like which part of the process is most difficult for you and why do you think that is?
Yeah.
If any
Uh,
at all.
right. The writing is the hardest.
Okay.
Right. But
Yeah.
that's because I am the hardest on myself in that
Hmm.
part. When I'm role playing and acting, it's all impromptu, and so I
Yeah.
give myself a lot of grace. I'm like, you know what? That was first take, right? We had no rehearsal. We have no script. Whatever comes out, comes out. I'll live with it.
Yeah.
But with writing, I got time. I can see it on this page. I can edit it. I can fix it. I have power over that whatever turns out. I have power over it. I
Yeah.
could have made it better. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. And like my earlier scripts, I'm not as happy with. Obviously, we get better as we do
Sure.
this stuff. But those, and when I nail one, that really satisfies me. I love that feeling. Like, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And I don't always feel that. Like sometimes I just write it because I have to get something out,
Sure.
and then whatever, I'll do better next week. So
Totally. Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, we can hone in on that just a little bit. When you write something well and you feel good about it, like what's usually the process that unfolds for you? Is there some sort of inspiration? Is it just craft? How does it usually come out well to where
Yeah.
you're proud of it?
yeah, I love a scene that
Mhm.
I don't want. It's got to be 3 to 5 minutes. It's a short scene
Yeah.
where something is revealed. At the
Mhm.
end of the scene, the audience learns something new. There's a secret that we
Yeah.
are going to unveil in this scene. And you can't always do that. That's hard to do. But I love it when I can finish a script with some twist, some remark, some revelation that the audience, light bulb goes off. And if I can nail that, then I feel really good. But sometimes it's just doing fun character stuff. I have like
Yeah.
with Morrison, for instance, is a character I write a lot.
Yeah.
As one of my NPCs. I like to get more and more into him and do fun stuff with him and the other
Yep.
characters. So sometimes it's just fan service or for
Sure.
me to
Yeah.
write fun stuff for him.
Yeah, your performance of him, you can tell that you luxuriate in it, right? Like that, like you come out when Morrison is on the wavelengths, I guess, not the screen, but yeah. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess, kind of a lightning question with that. Like, do you have a favorite NPC?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one.
Yeah.
Obviously. I've had several different characters in our runs that I just love those characters.
Yeah.
And because when we as handlers, GMs, whatever, we I don't know, we played 10, 20, 30 different people at once at the table. We bring a lot of characters to life.
Yeah.
And we can't nail them all. It's impossible. But if you could nail just a couple, then that's the goal. So Morrison obviously is one. In the same story, in the static story, that there's the Jander character, who, Henry, I think. No,
Yeah.
Old Harold.
Harold. Yeah.
Is one of my favorite NPCs that I love. I could play him forever. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
for some reason something about that guy that I could really resonate with. My character Nicholas, who is a PC but really is a GM NPC,
Sure.
to me was one of my absolute favorite characters I ever played. I got to run crazy. That's when I got to chew the walls with that character, and I love that guy to death.
Yes.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think who else from our stories. Oh gosh, it really comes to mind. I mean, those are the ones that come to mind, I guess,
Totally.
from
Yeah.
all the stuff we've done. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's a wealth of, you said 160 something episodes. There's a lot of characters in there, right? So yeah. When are you going back to space? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Maybe, hopefully soon. I loved that. I loved that sidetrack, but I think what did I play? I played like no NPCs in that story. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
I barely played NPCs in that story. They were barely on screen in the final aspects of that chapter, or the very first chapter.
Yep.
I love that story for a lot of reasons, but it's just such a different vibe than what we were doing.
And the world building with the character intros you would do before each episode was so interesting. And you're just like, oh, wow, I have just this 3-minute thing gave me such a different understanding of that PC, right? So it was really good. So, and it was very tight too. It moved quick and it was action the whole time. So in like role playing action, not like,
It's Arc 105 we're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's such a story at a time for everything else we're doing.
Totally.
And I forget about it sometimes, weirdly enough, because it's Call of Cthulhu. It's not part of our storyline, but it was a wonderful, I wouldn't say experimental. It's tight, but it was just a different and it's a great story. Well, very well produced too. Ged did an amazing job on the production of that story.
When did you bring Ged in, and like, what did you do yourself before that, or as a group? How did that evolve?
Yeah, so when we started out, Taylor was the initial producer, editor. He's running the back end. He managing the website. He did all that stuff for us. He was overburdened like crazy.
Yeah,
and then every single weekend, Taylor was editing, and he was not an experienced editor, but he also was kind of peculiar. He wanted things to sound a certain way, so he'd spent hours and hours, Saturday and Sunday, on the episode that would be coming out on Monday, and then the next weekend he'd do the same thing. His entire weekend was getting ready for that Monday release, and we were encouraging him and like trying to keep him going, but his battery was going down, and he was a soldier for it. But while he was also running Painting Darkness and editing at the same time, which was crazy, Ged, out of nowhere, he's a college student who's a wonder cunt. Yeah. He's an amazing guy. He just sends an email to Taylor out of the blue, like this stranger, to our Gmail address. We have a Stories and Lies Gmail address. Taylor happens to open it up, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a freelance editor. I like your podcast." Oh, cool. This guy actually someone listens to us. This is amazing. He's like, "Hey, do you guys need any help with your editing?" And he charges for the service. It wasn't like he's looking for work, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Here's a list of my work. Here's a link to all my samples, my experience, blah, blah, blah." Taylor loves it. He sends us all this stuff. He's like, "Can we hire this guy?" And Matt and I and Wes are like, "Yeah, sure, man. We'll all chip in. This is worth it. We're going to help you out. We know this is a burden. We'll help you out, man." So we bring him in like in the middle of Painting Darkness too. It wasn't even, we're like, "Just take over, man." I think it's like episode 7 or 8 or something. And you can like suddenly hear the difference in this quality in the middle of that story.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And he's been with us ever since. And like the fun part is, initially he was like a guy we hired to do production, right? Yeah. And then we like brought him into the fold, and we're like, he's like telling us creative stuff. He's like overruling us on things and suggesting things to us. We're like, "Hey, let's do this song." No, let's do it. But I got a better song for you. Yeah. He took over all that aspect of production, and we've been better off.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like an editor and a producer too, it sounds like, which is great. Yeah. So yeah, he's hilarious when I see him in Discord and stuff, and he seems like an all-around solid guy. So, and yeah, does he do every episode then, or do you sometimes Taylor go back and do some? Like maybe go ahead.
Yeah, Taylor does a few. Taylor mostly, the idea was Taylor would do the Patreon, and we've been really remiss in doing the Patreon. But he's edited Taylor has done a couple of our behind the scenes episodes.
Sure.
That didn't require any kind of production work. So Taylor would just do those. But otherwise, anything that requires, SFX, more advanced theme music, whatever. I mean, anything that gets touch. It gets been involved in it, and pretty heavily involved in a lot of our later productions as far as what it's going to sound like. And I like that. Ged almost has an idea, like a director. Like this is the direction this story should go in, and this is the sound I want for this story. Like, you know what I mean? Like he has his.
That's so cool.
Because he works in film. He does editing audio for film. He's he's a busy guy.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just hope we don't lose him. That would be terrible.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. So yeah. Kind of switching gears. When you first started recording, it could be with anything, right? Like, what advice do you have for yourself? X years old Tom, to you sitting down to first start these projects. Like, what advice would you give yourself?
It's hard to say. I mean, because you got to give yourself a whole lot of grace, a whole lot of latitude, and let yourself make mistakes. And I don't want to be like, I would not tell a young version of myself, a whole bunch of extra rules or a bunch of extra boundaries, because we all had to learn by screwing things up, by deadline pressure, there's a lot of mistakes and things you make along the way that help you get better. I
Yeah.
mostly just tell her it's going to be great, keep it up, and that kind of stuff. It's mostly encouragement. If I'm talking to a young myself or just a young whoever, a young person who's starting this, you know, you gotta love it. Otherwise, why are you doing it? But if you do love it, then go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for it, man. It's have fun, put it out there, and if it's something that you enjoy, I think the joy comes out. And
Totally.
and the technical stuff is great. I mean, I love it, but that's not why podcasts fail or succeed. I don't think that's it. It's about does the audience like it? Does it resonate? Does it connect?
Yep.
Is it something that people enjoy and want to hear more of for whatever reason, emotional or otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. And on that note, like where do you get character inspiration? Like when you're sitting down to play rather than handle, how do you come up with a character? Where do you get ideas? And
yeah, it's tough because I feel like it's all been done. Number one, right?
Yeah,
it's
of
and,
course.
and if you try to make that character no one else has done, that character is a cliche.
Mhm.
So like and I've seen plenty of podcasts or role playing games where people pick the weirdest guy you can think of that no one's ever thought of before, and it just doesn't fit. And it just seems like a caricature as opposed to a person. So it's hard to make a character that the way we do it internally is that we talk a lot about. I ask questions. Who is this guy? What were they doing before? What matters to you?
Mhm.
How does he view this? How does he view that? We do a lot of talking about these people, and we try to discover things about them.
Wow. Yeah.
Even before we play. I mean, sometimes more than others. With Stories and Lies for the initial cast for Ladybug, I don't know how this happened. This is Taylor's fault. I'm gonna blame Taylor for this. Taylor loved Dorothy from the get-go. Like he's been playing her forever.
Yeah,
Like, that's our
years,
longest
yeah.
standing character. He started writing short fiction featuring Dorothy's background. And then that got Wes to write a story. And then that got Matt to do a story. And then I wrote some shit as well for Mike. Like we all started writing little stories about our characters for no reason, just because we're all weird role play people, right?
Sure. Yeah.
We're like doing this little, fanfic for characters we have not yet played. We haven't started recording yet.
Oh,
We're
wow.
like, who are these people? And by the time we did episode 1, I mean, I knew who Willow was.
Yeah.
From talking to Wes, from reading these stories. I knew the kind of things I wanted to seed into those conversations.
Mhm.
We had figured out who George Lewiston was, a
Yeah.
character who starts out dead. In episode 1, he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's an integral part of the background of all these people. And I knew who he was, his connection to these people. I'm seeding things in to his backstory. And then you have to let your players who would love their characters, right?
Yeah.
Spotlight and let them play these characters out, interact with each other. Then they start mixing up and this chemistry happens and great things happen. And then you move the story along, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And it absolutely comes through. Right. So, and the fact that all that pre-conversation, in like film, they'll have actors sit together. I mean, theater too, and like get to know each other. If they're a couple, they should have dinner a few times before they play a couple, right? So it makes sense that you guys would develop so much and like basically spitball these guys out and start giving them shape, right? In like Mythos or these role-playing, like D100 role-playing games where you have to embody like a human, like there's so much opportunity to do that, right? When I think of the OSR, like the old school Renaissance, you're basically creating character off random roll tables and that's it. And it's a lot more difficult to get into something like that a lot of the time. And plus they have like 3 hit points and die anyway in like a session. But I think that like that's what I love about Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu and things like that. You're able to enact things that are real more often, right? Not saying you can't do that in, high fantasy and things like that, but there's just something special about, this is somebody who's going to face like realistic but impossible odds,
Yeah, and one thing I like is I feel like our characters are relatable because they're humans in very human situations with families, with obligations, with responsibilities, with humans' moral values, like that hopefully our audience shares, right?
Yeah.
And then when these characters are having these struggles, these value struggles, these ethical struggles, you hope the audience is also sharing those struggles and feeling the same pressure of what would I do if I was in that situation. So I think that's pretty relatable. Moving forward just a second,
Yeah.
We're doing God's Teeth, as well, which is something that is a campaign and not just a story. So for God's Teeth, we did a lot of the same stuff we did for Ladybug, except we
Mhm.
didn't write any microfiction. But we did a lot of conversations about who these people are, what they were, not just Section Zero, but even between that. And a character I play in God's Teeth, I'm really excited about because I spent a lot of time figuring her out
Yeah.
before I even started role playing her. So that's part of the sauce, I think, is getting in the head of these characters early enough that you can really jump in there and you want to find out what happens to this person. You get attached,
Yeah,
for better or
absolutely.
for worse, right? You get attached to these characters.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. For Savannah, was this something in your head that had been kind of floating around before God's Teeth, or when God's Teeth came up, you're like, okay, I'm going to do some thinking and pick this out. Like, how did you come to that character?
I mean, it's a lot of, I don't know. It's hard to, I don't remember, but
Sure.
I do
Yeah.
remember this. Yeah. At some point, I wanted to, based on what other people are doing, right? I wanted to go the federal agent, but I didn't want to do a federal agent. I ended up with a marshal, but I didn't want to be a marshal. It's a bunch of this process.
Yep.
But I ultimately chose a character that actually, my sister is the inspiration for a lot of this stuff. That's the fun part for me.
Yeah.
I took my sister and her background and completely changed it, obviously.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
but I start with a real person, like and a background and a story to figure out how to emulate a lot of the day-to-day stuff, and then I started adding details and background and talk to Matt about details that may or may not ever come out. I don't know.
Sure.
Probably will, knowing Matt.
Yeah.
But I did start with a real human person who I know, and then I went from that person and developed a whole other person.
That's cool. Yeah. That's awesome. A lot of people like look into other fiction a lot of the times, and I think that's where you can get into the caricature. But when you like can ground it to a real person, that's really fun, and especially if somebody close to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that character, and I hope nothing happens to her. Whereas the character I'm playing in Taylor's story, which we just finished,
Yeah.
is one that I don't really love. I mean,
Okay.
I can play him, but
Yeah.
I don't relate to him or understand him at all. I just do the best I can to fake that character. As like Julian, my struggling artist character,
Yeah.
with who's just a very he's not me. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 No, I thought you've been playing him well, like especially like he's an artist, but he's more kind of like a mimicry artist, or like he's good at copying, right? Like he
Right.
can do that, but he maybe doesn't necessarily have his own internal well of like ideas, right? So yeah. I'm excited to see what happens to Julian. I'm sure it's like what, next week or the week after?
Yeah, I
Something?
mean, for our purposes, I don't know when this is coming out as a
Sure.
recording. It's gonna be like next week, right?
Great. Cool. Yeah, I'm excited. From a storytelling perspective, God's Teeth ends, whatever's in between the next few chapters is over, and you're, setting the stage for your own story. Like what type of experiments do you want to do in the future with storytelling, or what are you passionate about for yourself next? And you don't have to reveal details, but just thematically, generally, like what's hyping you up?
Like when I started out, I think like most handlers, GMs, whatever start, we do tend to stay really close to the written materials
Mhm.
that are really well done. Delta Green's got some amazing published scenarios that are like a crutch for you as a new handler, storyteller, GM, whatever. And like I started out with those, right? And as I've been going along, I've been doing more and more of my own stuff.
Yep.
So I've been mostly looking forward to creating my own stuff, and that's a hell of an ask, right?
Yes.
That's a hell of an ask. I feel pretty good, like, oh, I'll figure something out, because I guess I have, but I don't have it yet. So I
Yeah.
do after this, after we do God's Teeth, which is the second chapter, which is called Red Thoughts. Like
Mhm.
I'm on deck for the next story. So I'm in the batting circle is what I'm doing.
Okay. You're
And I'm actually
warming
working
up.
on it. It's kind of fun because we're working on art for that already.
Oh,
we're
cool.
working on characters for that. We're all working on that, and then even though we're not playing that for who knows when, but I'm up next.
Yeah.
Matt's gonna give me a breather doing more God's Teeth, and then after that, I need something entirely new,
Okay.
entirely new, and
Yeah.
I don't know what that's gonna be. I'm in that
Sure.
spot where, like, I think we've all been there as a handler, where you're like, or GM, you finish a story, the players love it, they want to do something else, but you don't have something else
Yep.
yet.
Exactly.
And so at some point, inspiration will strike. But I mean, I'm up back to your original question. What I'm doing with the next story, I feel good about because it's different. And I
Okay.
really like doing stuff that's different. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a format's structured a little different. It's a little bit more surreal, I guess, is the
Okay.
best way I put it. It's not going to be linear. It's a little more weird, which had some good success with. But after that, I need to find a new direction. So
Yeah.
we've had a lot of luck with kind of picking these themes of stories, and then doing following the theme, right?
Yeah.
It could be pulp, spy fiction, you know. I don't even know what you call days long since remembered.
Yeah.
But we always have these different kind of modes.
Yeah.
I need to do something that's very much conspiracy war, is what I'm trying
Oh,
to do.
cool.
Something that's conflict in the late 90s, Delta Green
The
versus
Civil
Majestic.
War. Yeah.
And I need to find the vehicle for that story.
Yeah.
And I'll figure it out one day. I don't know what day that is, but I'll figure that out at some point.
That's cool. Yeah, and that's a great fertile space, right? That's like such a fun thing. Like you're interacting with the unnatural, but then you have this deep state, for lack of a better term, like destroying itself essentially. So yeah, that's really cool.
And I'm really happy. The Delta Green authors have done a great job of making a story world with a lot of great story hooks and built-in conflicts and lots of wonderful gray areas we can explore. And I think like I've been talking with the guys offline about the way I view the Majestic group is different than other people.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like because I like to view them as a committee of individuals, not like one single-minded individual, right?
Sure.
Which means there's competing agendas.
Yeah.
And there's never one version of the steering committee. It's 12 different people's opinions.
It's a bureaucracy, right?
It's a giant bureaucracy that causes a lot of trouble. That it's gonna ultimately turn on itself because that's how this works, right?
Yep.
But how do you get individual stories within that? How do you show those stories? How do your players affect those stories? That's the challenge.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I mean, I know you're still playing through God's Teeth, but this isn't like spoilery or anything, but the God's Teeth is really, it's not necessarily about the bureaucracy of like the deep state or the CIA or whatever it may be, but it is about the system that can just crush individuals and like getting lost in that. And where can you even change or control it, right? And I think, Caleb Stokes, like my favorite, probably author in the Delta Green space, he's very pessimistic with his like outcomes of that question, right? So I would be curious what your answer to that is. You don't seem as pessimistic as Caleb, I guess. So.
Yeah, I find these systems to be somewhat agnostic or somewhat like lawful neutral, I guess is a better way to put it.
Totally.
And individuals can push the levers in either direction. So I don't view the system as corrupt. I view it just individuals within the system, bend and shape it.
Yeah.
It depends on who you have at the levers.
Yeah, it's like a mechanism of control, right? Like you have this, it is a system, right? And there has to be intent behind the system that causes the pain, right? Or causes, things to get better, right? Like that intent behind it is important. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know Caleb has a very much a sense of the soulless system, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it just kind of causes misery by existence. And there's I guess some truth to that because so much of the system is dehumanizing and making individuals into collectives, and people get lost in the cracks all the time when you make everybody, a square or a circle or try to make one rule for all or whatever,
Yeah.
So systems aren't good or bad, but they do have a lot of negative outcomes, obviously.
As we're getting toward the end of our time here, anything else you want to talk about or anything that you think is interesting that's worth exploring quickly?
Yeah. So one thing I do want to say when I was thinking about this conversation here.
Yeah.
And some of the questions leading up to it. I think one thing that is hard.
Yeah.
For me, and maybe you know the same feeling, is when we make this stuff. Like we make stuff that sometimes we could create stuff that is amazing, that we love, are passionate about. We want to share it. It turned out better than we thought. We're just so proud, right?
Yeah.
And this happens with artists, with musicians, with any kind of people in the arts, where you make great things and then it just never gets discovered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is I don't know how to fix that problem, but that was to me in the first 2 years, maybe even now, of doing this, that was my biggest struggle. It wasn't
Yeah.
doing the art and showing up and doing the work. It was, now that I've done it, does anybody even care? Did anyone
Yeah.
hear it? Is there an audience? It's wonderful. I love it when people do tell us, like people show up and tell us that they
Yep.
heard it, because that's so reassuring. But
Yeah.
it took a long time, at least for me, for mainstream, I guess if there's a mainstream, Delta Green,
Sure. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
like even, like I felt like people were listening to us, but almost like I felt for a long time like we were just kind of lost, like a
Yeah.
small group of listeners in a big group of role players. And whenever someone would talk about podcasts, it was always the same 2 podcasts that they would mention.
Sure. Yeah.
And that always bugged me. I was irrational. It was an emotional thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
if you just listened to what we did, maybe you would. But it's changed. I'll put it that way. It's changed.
Yeah.
As more and more people do, the word eventually gets out. It just takes time.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's new, and like, it may take a couple of years, and it may be not your first, second, it might be your third story hits, or something
Sure.
just happens along the run that catches fire for whatever reason. Who knows the reason?
Yep.
I do feel like over time, the art gets respect, but it takes a while, and that can be frustrating.
Absolutely. I mean, just like, in the taking a micro and making it macro, like Lovecraft himself, right? No fame at all during his life, right? So like devastating for him, like as a person, right? But yeah, there is this like, and this is what I think of like post-episode blues, right? Where you release something and then you get, some people in Discord are like, oh yeah, this is great, da 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 da. But then there's something in the back of my head sometimes where I'm just like, does anybody give a shit? Right? Like you're just like, I love this. I love producing it. So that's enough for me to keep doing it. But then there is that voice that's like, but no one, like, how many people are really listening to it? Like, I don't know. I mean, I do, because I can see the downloads, but yeah, it is a tough place to be, right? And growing a show can be hard. But I do think what you're saying, like just keeping at it and focusing on like the, why you love doing it and continuing to push that way, I think it does start to separate you from the people who are in it just to like get listens or to monetize or to, someday be able to play ads, right? Like for me, I was like, I never want to make money off of this. I just want to do this for fun. I don't want to like ever have ads. Maybe I would do a coffee or something like that just to pay for the cost of running it. But like, just honing in on like your own values in the space, right? And keep going, right? And I think people will eventually see that and come to your show. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we love playing. We love doing all that stuff is great.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a motivation right there. But when we've talked about it internally, like none of us we're never gonna put ads on it, whatever.
Sure.
And the other guys that I work with are very much cool. Like if we have 2 listeners or 20 or whatever, they don't care. They're pretty much like, I don't care. I'm happy with the show. I like it. Like I guess for me, I always got a little bit like, I want the main. I always wanted the mainstream of Delta Green to at least know it. I don't know whether they like it or not, whatever, but at least to have heard of it. That was my irrational, I don't know what that word is. Insecurity? That's my insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense, right? And I think a lot of like when you do feel confident as a storyteller and you feel like your stories are good and you have something to share, it can be tough, right? Like if you don't feel like you're able to share it, right? It's an audience problem, right? Where it's like, I know this story's good. Like it resonates with the people who are seeing it. Like, how do I get more people to see this and have it resonate with those people as well, right? Because I think it does have something to offer the world, right? And it's tough, like if you feel like that's not happening or that you can't execute on that like enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So maybe that's something I would tell my younger self. It's like,
yeah.
Let it be. Have some patience. Give it some time. It'll work out.
Yeah.
That would be good advice for young Tom just starting this thing out.
Yeah. I mean, what I will say is, I reached out to you first just because I respect you as like a creator and, we don't have a lot of connections between our shows or anything, right? when I think of, okay, where I want to grow as a storyteller, somebody embodying a character, it is your show. It's not Glass Cannon or like big ones. Like the shows honestly kind of annoy me. So, but like it is really a Stories and Lies. So yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we are not a live performance role play show. Those are different vehicles. They're there to entertain, to do live improv using role playing games as a way to do that. Live comedy, whatever. That's their show.
Yep.
You did borrow Mark, didn't you? From our show?
That's true. Yeah.
That was amazing. I love that bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mark, I'm so jealous of Mark's voice. Like every time I hear it, I'm just like, man, this guy has such a voice, right? Like, and because he's fairly new to the crew, right? I don't know how new he is to role playing, but like lightning in a bottle with that guy, right? Like, I'm just like, whoa. But yeah, like I love the idea of putting a cow, or a human brain in, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but like, you know what I'm saying? Some Mego business. And I wanted to have one of our characters sent off like that. So it was cool that you guys were open to like sharing that with me. I loved it. Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, I like where our show fits in the, I don't know what you call it, cosmology, but that's the kind of game we like to play. That's really, it's not like we did it intentionally. That's just the way we like to play these games.
Yeah.
We're very character centered. And I went to school as a writer. My background is writing.
Yeah.
And then I went to law school because I wanted to get a job or wanted to like make a living. I want to pay my rent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I have some training in writing and screenwriting and all that stuff in theater and all that. Whatever.
Yeah.
And what I was taught early on is this idea of a story is a character in conflict. It's character in conflict. That all boils down to it. And it's not the conflict that's the story. It's the people that are in it and what decisions they make. And that's the audience. We're following these people and their decisions. And that's what gets us interested as an audience in television, movies, whatever. It's about following a character through their conflict, their decisions, their struggles. And that's always been my focus when I've done role-playing games. Not
Makes
always.
sense.
When it was D&D, that wasn't.
Sure.
It was, but I do have a background in doing the White Wolf storytelling game system.
Yeah.
That was one of my first formative role-playing forays, and that's all about characters.
Okay.
That's all about those.
I've never heard of it, so I'm just gonna note it here. Yeah.
If you give me 1 minute, I'll give you that. I'll give you that go. So White Wolf is a company that came out in the 90s.
Okay.
It was very much angst. Very angst.
Reflective of the grunge era.
It was grunge, angst, the Crow kind of stuff,
Yeah.
But
totally.
they started out with Vampire. That was their first game, Vampire the Masquerade.
Oh,
and they made a bunch of other games.
World of Darkness. Yeah.
World of Darkness story. But all their games were a twist on the convention. That was their novel twist, was these people. And then it could be a vampire, right? But vampires are interesting because they have been living a long time. They have a hell of a backstory.
Yep.
And it's all about their interests, their desires, their conflicts. And it's very social as opposed to dungeon crawl fighting. There's combat like there always is. But it really is, when we made vampire characters at the table, it was, okay, your guy was born in 1842. Where has he been for the last 120 years? What's his story?
Yeah.
And so it was focused on the people and their backstory. And that got us thinking about these characters.
Yeah, totally.
More so than the monster of the week. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like how can I use these two spells in the next combat encounter? Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. Sorry. Why I didn't realize it was the company that did World of Darkness stuff, but I've never played them, but like there was a show called, have you heard of Real Lich Hours?
Oh, I haven't. Okay.
They did a World of Darkness Vampire the Masquerade season where they just did like one of the video games, but then used that as a way to go through the source books and get an understanding of factions and classes and things like that. Very interesting show. So yeah, it's worth a listen. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Tom, thank you. I appreciate you sitting down with me. It was great to like meet you this way, and that you're able also just to be a little vulnerable with me and talk through some of the insecurities was awesome to hear. And I think people who listen to this will appreciate that as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm happy to talk about this. I do love this stuff. I really
Yeah.
honestly do. I mean, I've got a day job, I've got a career, I've got a
Yep.
family, and those things are important. You know,
Yep.
obviously, we got we both have kids. We've got professional jobs. We've been trained for and educated for that
Yes.
we got to do. But I think we all need like a little, I don't know,
Yep.
the creativity. I needed that something in my life.
Yeah.
And for some people, that could be painting. You know, it
Yeah.
could be gardening. I don't know. It could be pottery. Some guys is golf. I don't know. But this is my thing, man.
Yep. Yep.
Role-playing games, I just decided when I was, I don't know, 30 or 40, that even though I've got a career, this is not some stupid kids game. It's not
Yeah.
some fun, silly hobby. It's just something that I enjoy. I really love this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I want to keep doing it. And I'm happy. I love talking about it. I love participating in it. I like trying to make something better than what I've done, before, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think you're succeeding. So like, yeah, I think you should definitely keep it up. So, and I know you will. So yeah. Awesome. Well, anything you want to plug before you go? I know you're wrapping up an arc and you're about to start the next part of God's Teeth. Anything else you want to mention here at the end for people to check out?
I guess I'll say, if people are hearing this and are not familiar with us, I mean, that's great. Our podcast is called Stories and Lies, and it's a little ampersand, which messes up your search functions. But we do primarily Delta Green settings and stories, and I guess I'm the primary handler. I don't know, but we do rotate storytellers, right? And we've been telling a couple of different long form stories, and we do it. It's really I'd say about 3 stories a year, basically is how we do it. We're every Monday. Every Monday we got a new chapter, about an hour long podcast comes out. And if you like it, I hope people enjoy it. We do it for the audience. And if you want to say hi, we've got a Discord and stuff. You can say hi, and we'd love to. We like hearing that too. We like to praise it. So thanks for everybody who's listening. I hope it's been a great. Thank you, Nick, for having me here.
Of course.
I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it's great. And I'm learning from just hearing you talk about it. So it's awesome to have this conversation.